All right, time for our coach's comments pregame. Here's Lobo head coach Paul Weir.
Paul, the Lobos in Colorado State for the first time this season. Before we talk about the Rams, you've had a little break, and you told us earlier this week, bad timing because the Lobos have kind of gotten on a little roll. How have you kept the team sharp?
That's good. You're right. We just wanted to keep playing after those last couple games. But at the end of the day, I am glad we got the break. I think it was a good time to kind of reset on some things. We spent a lot of time on us this week, getting our bodies right. I think sharpening up some things on the court as well. I've wanted to kind of keep us sharp, for this game coming up, and hopefully we've been able to do that this past week.
Reflect for a moment on the importance of a win over a rival like San Diego State in Dreamstyle Arena with one of the biggest crowds of the season, and you said that you felt it was as loud as it's been all year.
Yeah, no, I'm really thankful to all the fans that have come out all year long. We've had tremendous attendance, tremendous just overall supply of people, but I don't know if we've ever done enough as a basketball team to kind of get the volume going where it needed to. Unfortunately, we've been banging on the door here and there, done some things that maybe they like, but just never kind of broken through. And I think San Diego State was really the first time I think we're able to break through and finally get the volume here, the volume of old, is what a lot of people have kind of said. And hopefully that's something we'll be able to kind of carry on the rest of the year. We need our fans, obviously, in numbers, but we need their volume as well. And I think we just needed to maybe give them something to feel good about. Hopefully that last game was that, and it's just the beginning.
Lobo head coach Paul Weir is with us. You haven't backed off. You've kept practicing them hard. The intensity is there. You can see it in the scrimmages that they're still fighting. The interesting thing is the minutes, and you talked about it early in the year about managing guys' minutes, and Joe Firstinger's was one that you said you wanted to regulate if you could. As you played with fewer guys, Makwach Malawach from 16 or so minutes a game to almost 28 minutes a game. Anthony Mathis's minutes have increased as well. Is that a concern?
It definitely is. It's something, I don't want to say it's a concern, but it's something we're monitoring. So right now we necessarily haven't seen something go the other way, but we always want to take precautionary measures on whatever it is we think we need to do. We did get a little rest this week, which is really for everybody, but hopefully for some of those guys that might be a warning sign. As we pull into this next little stretch, we've got 3 games in 7 days, 2 of which are on the road. Those are things we're going to have to think a little bit about, because I've talked all year long about this being a war of attrition and us kind of being a team that's standing at the end, and I want to maintain that philosophy. I don't want to necessarily put all my eggs in one game or one basket and blow all this, everything we've been working towards all year long, which was monitoring minutes and was spreading it around and was implementing our training and style of play so that hopefully down the stretch we were able to take advantage of that. So we still want to be able to do that. Those are questions we ask ourselves every day, just making sure we're doing what's best for certain individuals as well as our overall team.
To that end, you do have a couple of players that might be getting closer to getting back on the court. You said earlier this week that Troy Simons, you'd have an announcement as we've reached now game day, and the Lobos are taking on Colorado State. Will he be available for you tonight?
Yeah, the expectation is Troy will be available tonight. What that exactly means, I don't know. This is obviously the first time for him in a little while. We have discussed everything as a team just as far as what that could mean, particularly outside of our program and just kind of staying strong together and hopefully making this a really good positive turn for us in a good direction. There's a lot of outside influences at time or maybe opinions people might have, but at the end of the day, it's us as a team and us as a unit, and we want to maintain that. We've had it all year long, so we're hopeful to be able to welcome Troy back and continue in a very positive direction.
With regard to potentially welcoming Sam Logwood back, how is the progress with his shoulder? Is there any new news on his physical progress and whether he might rejoin you guys?
You know what, right now I don't think it's necessarily as imminent. I thought Troy was kind of trending this way here really for the past week. And Sam, I don't think we're really that imminent. I think Sam still has some things he's kind of working through. We all still have some things we're kind of working through. And I don't really think we're that close to being able to make a decision one way or the other.
Lobo head coach Paul Weir is with us. Okay, turn attention to Colorado State. They are missing 2 key pieces at the guard position in Nixon and Page. How do they look without those 2 guys?
Without Nixon, obviously, we have a little bit of film on that. Without Page, it's not really much. So the adjustments they make without Page, we're kind of speculating on some things or expecting certain things. But, they could do some different stuff as well. Coach Eustachy's pretty standard in his system. He has been for years, both defensively, offensively, rebounding-wise. I don't think they're not a team that's necessarily going to put in a bunch of new sets or do a lot of different things. That's not really ever been their philosophy. So I think a lot of things they do will remain the same. Just the personnel within which they do it obviously can change. So, we're just prepared for as many different guys as possible. They played kind of some newer guys last game for the first time in a while. We prepared for them, and, we're just trying to get all our ducks in a row here to make sure we're giving ourselves the best chance to succeed.
Somebody you highlighted earlier this week is Nico Carvaccio, who you say is sort of coming into his own on the post.
Love him. Really, really like not only the numbers he's putting up, which are impressive, particularly on the rebounding end, but just the way with which he plays. He's tough. He's aggressive. He's a Larry Eustachy kind of player. I've always admired guys like that and programs like this, and we have to make sure we not only match all that, but we exceed it with our energy and our work ethic and our passion and toughness and all those kinds of things, because Colorado State's always hung their hat on that, and we can't let them win that category in this game.
Lobo head coach Paul Weir is with us. One of the backdrops to this game, among others, is a trip to Fort Collins a season ago. Your returning players and returning coaches and staff members will remember what happened outside the arena in Fort Collins. There was a verbal confrontation. Some felt that part of it was a completely fair screen that Joe Furstinger set that somebody ran into at full speed. These kinds of things are the makings of a rivalry. Is this something that you'll address, that you'll talk about with the team before you take the court?
Whatever happened in the past really is in the past. This is a new team and a new game. The last thing I want is anything kind of going on off the court or outside of the game that would not represent us well or either program well. I don't think anyone really wants that kind of stuff. I'm hopeful that nothing like that, this game digresses in any of that. I want it to be a tough, competitive basketball game with two programs going out and giving it the best they can. But that other stuff, I'd really like to just leave it as far away as possible. That's not what I want this game to be in any way, shape, or form kind of representative of. I just like it to hopefully be two good quality basketball teams going head to head.
I thought your answer to a question you were asked earlier this week was very interesting regarding what Coach Eustachy said during Mountain West Media Days about the Lobo coaching job being the worst one in the country. And you said that you felt it was just the atmosphere around coaches these days and the scrutiny that they're under, and he was sort of defending the profession?
That was the way I kind of interpreted it. Like I said, I don't know exactly what Larry meant. I don't even know the context of when he was asked the question or how it was, and I didn't really see all the transcripts or anything to know. But I know it obviously became a really big punchline and something a lot of people have brought up. My understanding, even in talking to Larry when I was at Mountain West Conference Media Day, was that's what he was referencing. That we're in a very tough profession nowadays with hard fans and media and internet and trolling and all that kind of stuff, and it's a real part of this profession now. And I think he was just kind of maybe using that as an example that maybe New Mexico can kind of be a place like that, where maybe the fans can get harsh, or internet, or just the whole kind of blog of people can maybe turn things a different way. And really, from my perspective, I've just never seen anything like that. So it's been an amazing journey for me here so far. The people have been incredibly supportive, but I don't think necessarily what he meant was specifically directed at Albuquerque. I think in that context, at that time, maybe it was interpreted that way, but I think he was maybe just talking about this profession in general and how unstable it is and how quickly coaches nowadays are getting fired.
Let's X and O's it here to finish off. What does Colorado State like to do offensively that challenges your defense?
They really like to spread the floor and play one-on-one, and that's something that we've obviously had a problem with. We might tinker with some things defensively to prevent some of that, but at the end of the day, there are some things we do defensively that are kind of our core principles that we just can't entirely change. We'll make some subtle adjustments for Colorado State, but we're going to have to get better at guarding the ball anyways. When you play a Fresno, when you play a Colorado State, when you play a Nevada, when you play teams with good one-on-one basketball players, we have to get better at guarding those guys in those scenarios and not not just completely backing off or going to a zone or whatever it may be. So they do present some challenges for us of some things we've had some issues with in the past. They're obviously a tremendous rebounding team, always have been. That's had some issues for us in the past. They're very good at getting to the free throw line. We've had some issues with that in the past. So we have some things kind of in the closet here that we've either hadn't dealt with a lot lately or just know that they're there, that they're good at. And we just have to ensure that those don't kind of creep up again.
Things in the closet. There have been occasions this season where you've gone 4, 5, 6 minute stretches and struggled offensively. They're good man-to-man offensive players. They also good on-ball defenders, or will Coach Eustachy junk it up a little bit?
No, he's always been what he is. They're a very tough, hard-nosed team, and they're very willing defenders, and they guard really hard. So particularly when your player's down, I know the feeling. We have it every day. There's a little bit of extra pep, and I think they'll be definitely ramped up and ready to go. They won at Wyoming. They won at Utah State. They beat Colorado. They're a very capable team. So I think there's some people that think we're just going to walk out there and win, and that's the last thing I ever want conveyed to this team or us. We have to go out and earn this thing against a very competitive, tough team, and we have to be more competitive and more tough than they are to do it.
The follow-up, you mentioned it earlier this week. I think it's worth asking. Your team responded when it lost pieces, and this team, you said there's an emotional piece to college basketball, and they might have some extra fight because they're a little shorthanded.
You're exactly right. I think I was thinking about it the other day. Me and Coach Eustachy are probably the only two coaches in the league that don't have any players they took to media day. So, we're both in the same boat of just trying to fight with what we have and give it everything we got. It was probably something we had to go through a little earlier, and we've kind of found our way maybe a little bit. But we know the feeling, and you go out and you fight and you give everything you got, and sometimes there's just a little bit more gas in the tank because you know you have to do more in order to overcome whoever may not be there.
All right, Paul, thank you very much. Best of luck against the Rams.
Thank you very much.
There are your coach's comments with Lobo head man Paul Ware. UNM Athletics and Valley Fence, proud to partner, try to end hunger throughout the state of New Mexico. For every block during men's basketball, sack during Lobo football, strikeout by Lobo during baseball, Valley Fence donates to the Roadrunner Food Bank. We pause. Back after this on the Bank of the West pregame show. Lobo basketball from Learfield. Welcome back inside Dreamstyle Arena, the Pit. New Mexico has won its third straight overall. It's seventh in a row at Dreamstyle Arena, the Pit. Lobos 80, CSU 65. Final. The Lobos had 3 Everguard Roofing and Everguard Solar Slam Dunks tonight. That's $30 at $10 per dunk to All Face. All Face serves over 2,500 kids and their families every year. They teach them how to prevent abuse and guide them as they recover from it. Help us give children back their childhood. Learn more by visiting allfaiths.org. Lobos a 15-point win over CSU. New Mexico with a victory, back at 500 now, 11-11. The Lobos have won 6 of their last 7 overall, and New Mexico improves to 6-3 in conference play, solidifying their spot. They came into today in a tie for 3rd in league. Back after this timeout, Lobos 80, CSU 65. Lobo basketball from Learfield. Back inside Dreamstyle Arena, the Pit. Lobos 80, CSU 65. Final. New Mexico has won 5 of its last 6 overall. Jumped the gun by 1. 5 of its last 6 overall. The Lobos improving to 11-11 and 6-3 in conference play. All right, it is time for our State Farm Insurance Assist of the Game. When teammates help each other out, great plays happen like this. And that's Troy Simons. Simons is a steal a minute. Here's Mathis, transition 3. Troy Simons with the steal. The outlet to Anthony Mathis. Antone's second triple. Lobos up by 10. Lobos at that point in front by 10. New Mexico would lead by as many as 15 and close with a dunk to make the final margin 15. That is your State Farm Insurance Assist of the Game. Presented by State Farm. Get an agent that gets you. Bank of the West continues its commitment as the Lobo 3-point basket sponsor. After every game, they donate to Special Olympics of New Mexico. And for more than 20 years now, Bank of the West has contributed over $100,000 to Special Olympics of New Mexico as part of its proud commitment to Lobo athletics. Lobos 80, CSU 65. We pause. Lobo basketball from Learfield. Back courtside, inside Dreamstyle Arena, the Pit. New Mexico 80, Colorado State 65. Final. CSU did indeed play shorthanded tonight, but the Lobos took control of this game, scored first, never trailed, led by as many as 15 first half, finished on that exact same number. Final score, New Mexico 80, CSU 65, 15-point spread. The Lobos were a 10-point favorite coming in. Hadn't been a favorite like that in quite some time. Okay, brief pause now, 10 seconds for station identification on the Lobo Radio Network. Okay, it's time for our PNM Reliable Player of the Game and the Lobos' 80-65 win over Colorado State. The game changer for the Lobos tonight after a pretty quiet first half. Once again, their floor leader, their floor general, Antono Jackson. Jackson pull up three. He got it and feeling it now. Give him 10. Lobos up 64-50, equaling their biggest margin of the second half. Antono Jackson, your PNM Reliable Player of the Game. PNM delivers reliable energy to you 24/7. Committed community partners, PNM, adding cleaner resources, including solar and wind energy, working to build a strong, sustainable energy future for New Mexico. Talk to us at pnm.com, where you can manage your account and learn how to save money on your electric bill. Antono Jackson, he finished with 12 points, 4 of 8 floor, 2 of 6 from 3, 2 for 3 from the foul line, and a game-high 11 assists. Antono Jackson with the double-double tonight is your PNM Reliable Player of the Game. And just to give you an idea of how explosive his second half was, Ant had 1 3-ball in the first half. 3 points, that's it, to go with 5 first-half assists. Erupts Antono Jackson in the second half for 9 points and 6 assists. He is your PNM Reliable Player of the Game. Timeout in the Lobo Basketball postgame show. New Mexico 80, CSU 65 is the final. Coach's comments with Coach Weir to come. Lobo Basketball from Learfield. Back inside Dreamstyle Arena, the Pit. Lobos 80, CSU 65 is the final. Okay, it's time to select our Subway Sub of the Game. It's brought to you by Subway Restaurants. And welcome in my broadcast partner, Hunter Green. And Hunter, who's our Sub of the Game tonight? There are a couple of choices, who stood out?
Tell you what, the play of the guy who's been missing from the team for a while, Troy Simons. I mean, it was 17 minutes, scoring 13 points, but an impressive 4 steals. Man, how about being efficient for 17 minutes?
That's serious bench production. And, you know, congratulations to Troy Simons.
Yes.
You know, he's gone through a lot here recently. And, you know, first off, twice this season, getting 2 technicals in a game, resulting in his ejection. After the second one at Boise State, that ejection resulted in a 1-game suspension from the Mountain West Conference. Coach Weir deciding that his inability to control his temper, both in-game, in practice, it was time for Troy to reflect a little bit. Troy was going through some things off the court as well. He has a young daughter. This is his first season away from her, where she has not been around. Obviously, as he has missed 5 games and had not played since January 3rd, so he'd been out for 24 days. He hadn't seen the court in live game action. He clearly came around during that time. It was very productive for him because he looked focused. He looked locked in. You and I shared a little chuckle at his his first shot of the night from 3. What were your thoughts as you watched him on the wing?
There was like a little pregnant pause. I mean, it was like he second-guessed, should I take this shot? Maybe it's too soon. But he was wide open. And naturally, in the offense, you shoot that shot. And he did. He knocked it down. And I'm sure that gave him a little bit of confidence. And then he went on to have a great game.
Troy Simons is your Subway Sub of the Game. Subway restaurants keep you going on off the court. Stop in today. Subway, eat fresh. Congratulations to Troy. 13 points in 17 minutes. Coach's comments with Coach Weir coming up. Lobos 80, CSU 65. We pause. Lobo Basketball from Learfield. Welcome back inside Dreamstyle Arena. New Mexico 80, CSU 65 is your final. You're locked into the Lobo Basketball postgame show. It is our privilege now to welcome in Lobo head coach Paul Weir for the postgame coach's comments. And Coach Weir, congratulations. A really nice win over Colorado State. Now 7 in a row at home. The Lobos have won 5 of the last 6 overall and 3 straight, and you're back even at 500. And you improved now in conference play with this victory. You solidify your spot in 3rd place, 6-3 in league. I'll start just very simply. You guys scored first, never trailed. What did you like most about New Mexico's performance tonight?
You know, I told the guys after the game, I thought the good part of it was this was new territory for us, being a favorite against a team that we knew was going to play really hard. They're a good road team. They won at Wyoming. They won at Utah State. They're a couple guys down. We know that feeling. And you scratch and you claw and you fight because you know you're a little down. So I knew this was a dangerous game. And as much as you try and tell people and staff and players, when you start to win a few games, that stuff just kind of sets in. So I was proud of them that we've never really done this before. We've never really worked to a point where we knew we were a favorite against a dangerous team and went out and kind of took care of business. At the same time, we weren't as crisp tonight as I'd like us to be. We just did some things we shouldn't have done that I think is a little bit inevitable when you have a couple games like we just came off of, and a little bit inevitable when you come off a bye week, but not acceptable when you're trying to be a championship team. And those are things that we have to get sharper. We have to get better. We played well enough to win tonight, but not well enough to do the things we eventually would like to do.
Coach, first of all, congratulations. And then second of all, what was the gesture? How did you get the tee? He said was
I waved for a travel. I moved my arm. Yeah, I rotated my arms a little bit. You know, I thought the same thing happened at Vegas. I got a tee at Vegas, and I thought the Brandon McCoy technical was a little bit of a makeup technical. Okay. And I felt like that might have been the same thing. Maybe they give him a tee, right. And
That's Coach Stacy.
He just said to Coach Ware, can I get a cut of the gate?
But I thought it was maybe a little bit of, they gave him a tee. Maybe it wasn't quite worth it. Mm-hmm. Let me even it up a little bit.
Maybe because you're the rookie on the
block. Maybe so. Maybe so. They're sick of me complaining about calls. I don't know.
Rob said you got to earn your stripes.
Yeah, seriously.
Oh, my goodness. Go ahead, Hunter. Go ahead. Yeah.
You know, in the game, I mean, there were times where, you know, CSU was able to hold New Mexico scoreless for maybe like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And that was mostly in half-court sets.
No question.
Was there a reason why it was stagnant?
You know, I just said in this press conference, I think this was the first game in the last little stretch where we're in this really funny time when we really start to open up our offense of giving Antoneau freedom to kind of play, and then everyone kind of standing around and watching. And I thought this was the first game in a while that we kind of went that way where it wasn't healthy. Mm-hmm. And we were kind of he was doing a little too much, and no one got to touch the ball, and there wasn't a lot of movement. And I thought it kind of hurt us a little bit. And that's something that I as a coach and he as a player and us as a team, we have to kind of find those sweet spots of when can he go and then when do we really need to keep moving the ball. And I thought there were some stretches tonight where he was just trying to do too much and no one else got to touch it, and we just had successive possessions of just not great. He can make bad shots, and then there's times he makes those bad shots and it almost like it disappears, but that doesn't stop our offense from really wanting to still move it and share it and all that kind of stuff.
You and Coach Stacy did pause for a significant amount of time here at center court as the final seconds came off the clock. Can you share a little bit of what Coach Stacy said?
Yeah, I mean, he obviously commended me. I commended him. I shared with you what I told him. I said, hey, Coach, keep fighting. We're the only guys without the players we took to media day. We're in the grind right now. You know, keep fighting. We're fighting. And I've learned a lot from coaching against his teams over the years. And I told him I've learned a lot about toughness. I've learned a lot about just work ethic and all that stuff from playing his teams. And they showed it again tonight. And you have to give him and his team a lot of credit for just how tough they are.
I did see him come over and give you a little low five and say you got the crowd back. But I do want you to talk about the 12,500 tonight and the biggest one in conference play and the feeling inside the arena.
Amazing. He said he got the crowd back, but yeah, no, it's amazing. And I thought a few times tonight the volume was terrific. It's fun, man. It's a fun place to play. It's a fun place to coach. We're trying to keep this team rolling and headed in the best direction we can. I'd like to think we're overachieving, and all we can do is just keep giving it everything we got every game going forward.
When you look at the stats, CSU didn't really play a bad game other than the turnovers.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly right. I was just asked that question upstairs. What would you do if you knew this and knew this and knew this? They're all important stats, but 23-7 is huge. It's just 16 extra possessions in a game, and it just kind of changes things.
The rebounding deficit concerning at all, though?
Very much so. And Carvacho is a tremendous offensive rebounder. He's leading the Mountain West in offensive rebounds. I thought McQuatch and Vlad got a pretty good indoctrination into what conference play is like for the freshmen. They got thrown around down there pretty good, and that's what good offensive rebounding teams do. They go so much, you can't call every foul. That's why they're good, and they did a really good job of beating us on the glass. It's something those guys have to improve on, and we have to get better on as a team, because that was obviously a major area tonight of concern.
You were consistent throughout from start to finish. New Mexico closed with 23 assists on 28 made field goals. That's a great ratio.
Yeah, no, I think, every time they kind of got it to 6 or 7, we were fortunately able enough to make a play. The beginning of the second half, we were shooting 20, 30% up until whatever media timeout. We were able to finish it, to shoot over 50% for the game, have 23 assists to 7 turnovers. It was a good offensive game tonight. Defensively wasn't the greatest, but that really all came down to rebounding. They just got a lot of second chance shots and putbacks and ones and stuff that I think if we cleaned that part up, it would have been a much better defensive effort.
Another thing I noticed defensively, you were only pressing on maids and kind of pulling back on misses.
Yeah.
Well,
our transition defense hasn't really been great lately, and we've been really trying to focus on missed shot attempts and turnovers, being able to get back and taking away easy baskets. And it's just something we're trying to do a better job of at least not giving up those easy stuff. The easy stuff in transition we've had issues with this year.
You have to be really happy with the consistency of your taking care of the basketball. I think 5 turnovers against San Diego State, only 7 of them tonight against Colorado State. That piece of it, the point guard play, and everybody. Really pleased with that?
Yeah, if you come to one of our practices, as you know, we spend a lot of time on fundamentals, and Pete Newell is someone I've always greatly admired in the game of basketball, and he's always said that, or used to say, basketball was the most overcoached game and undertaught game in America. And I think for me, I've always kind of had that in the back of the mind, and I never wanted to overcoach a team. I wanted to just teach them how to play, and that's what we work on every day: passing, ball handling, coming to stops, spacing, just the fundamentals. You come to our practice, it looks like summer camp. That's just what we do every day, and that's, I think, where some of this stuff starts to show up, is in these just basic fundamentals that a lot of these kids just don't get these days.
That attention to detail, and you can tell, especially in the closing minutes or close games.
Yeah. No, it is. It's great. Just passing, catching, ball handling, all that kind of stuff. Learning how to shot fake, your footwork. We just spend time on it every day, and it's just something I believe in. We might be behind on a lot of coaching things as far as sets and counters and this and that, but I always wanted to be a well-taught team that knew how to play the game of basketball.
This is a difficult week coming up for you now with the back-to-back road games where you're really only going to be home for a little over a day. And then you get back right out on the road.
Yeah.
The first time you did that, you lost them both. You were able to split it the last time. What about the leading into that? Do you back off the preparation in terms of the amount of work that they put in? Or how do you get ready for that?
I wish I was that far ahead right now. All the last few days has all been about just getting ready for Colorado State. We're going to work on all that right now. What do we need to do to get ready for the next game? I don't even know exactly where we're playing. Utah State. Yeah. Yep.
Utah State.
We'll move on to them now. What we need to do, everything we need to do to try and win that game, whether it's travel, prep, whatever it may be with rest. Those are things that we'll start grinding on right now. Just get ready for the next game.
Keep it rolling, Coach Weir.
Thanks,
Congratulations.
Man. Yep. Thank you very much.
Lobo head coach Paul Weir, our postgame coach's comments inside Dreamstyle Arena. New Mexico 80, CSU 65. Our final timeout on the postgame show. Back to wrap after this. Lobo basketball from Learfield. Back to close it out. Lobo basketball postgame show live from Dreamstyle Arena to the Pit. New Mexico 80, CSU 65. Today, postgame, not just Joe Furstinger, but Antono Jackson and Joe Furstinger. The two leaders of this New Mexico team, two of the seniors, they have really come to the fore as New Mexico has won 5 of its last 6 games, and they came out together tonight to work on post entries, to work on the high-low, everything. It really speaks to the commitment of this team. On the other end of the court, while they're getting their reps here post-game and trying to get better, we have Lobo baseball taking over the pit floor. Bob King Court now 3 of the all-time greats, really. Austin House, a fantastic Lobo pitcher who is a rising star in the Colorado Rockies organization and actually pitched locally at the AAA level this past season here in Albuquerque. Austin was out there with another local product. Blake Swihart didn't play for UNM, but very close with Lobo head coach Ray Birmingham, and a catcher for the Boston Red Sox, along with Mitch Garver, one of the all-time greats in New Mexico Lobo baseball history, two-time Mountain West Player of the Year, and the shortstop and third baseman during Garver's seasons at New Mexico, and an all-conference performer, Double-A, Alex Albritton out there as well. They were playing a little 2-on-2. So good stuff tonight, Hunter. 80-65, the Lobos beat CSU. You look at the stat sheet, and it's kind of a curious one how New Mexico was able to control this game really from start to finish while allowing Colorado State to shoot 53% from the field and 5 of 10 from 3. But it's because New Mexico just flat out had more possessions. They turned over CSU so many times tonight, 23, that the opportunity cost for CSU was too much to overcome.
Yeah, that was the difference. That was why CSU wasn't able to be victorious here, because you just can't win on the road turning the ball over 23 times. You just can't. So,
and you give up 13 threes to the Lobos, that's a recipe for disaster. Yeah. Didn't quite get to the 40% mark, shot 38% from 3. That's good enough.
Yeah.
And the Lobos went 13 out of 34. And the margin of victory, 15 points, reflects that 3-point field goal difference, 8 more made for the Lobos than the 5 that Colorado State made.
Yeah. No, I mean, you look at it and you say, CSU actually played a decent game other than turning the basketball over. I mean, you're looking at rebounds. I mean, these guys had 15 offensive boards, 35 total. New Mexico only had 15 and 7 offensive boards, but I think Coach Ware, he told you, I mean, it's bottom line. When you have more possessions, you get more opportunities to score. That was a difference.
Albuquerque Downs Racetrack and Casino, your home for winning entertainment, including simulcast racing. The Lobos finished with 4 players in double figures as they were led with 13 points from 3 different guys. Joe Fursinger, 13 points, 4 boards, 2 assists, just 1 turnover. Anthony Mathis, 13 points, 2 rebounds, and no turnovers. You had Troy Simons off the bench for 13 points as Troy committed just 1 turnover in his return. He was fantastic. Pinchuk with 7, Malawach with 9, Simmons with 8, 3 for McNeil, 2 for Kuiper. That was the Lobos scoring. James 17 to lead Colorado State. Carvacho with 14 and 5. Bob 8 from Mitchell, 6 from Bonner, and Jenkins and 5 from Berwick. New Mexico, wow, Hunter. 3 in a row, 5 of the last 6, 7 in a row at home. Now 11-11 and 6-3 in the Mountain West, and we'll see what happens in the rest of the league when it's all said and done tonight. But man, oh man, this Lobo team. They are flat out. You could say it now. They're on a roll.
They're on a roll. And I tell you, like I said, I'm kind of becoming repetitive, but if I'm in this conference, I wouldn't want to play the Lobos. I mean, this is a team that, you kind of look at on paper and go, but they're starting to play their best basketball right now, the end of January going into February. So this is right when you want to peak.
And we've talked about it, Hunter. As far as the upcoming schedule is concerned, the Lobos have the best one in the entire league remaining, the best schedule in the conference in terms of whom they play and where they play those teams. It's the easiest finish. They're exactly at the midpoint of the conference schedule, played 9 out of the 18, and they have the easiest one left.
Yep. Now, but you go on the road here, and there's no gimmies, but, it's Utah State and San Jose State.
Speaking of the Mountain West scoreboard, the key number to look at tonight is the final from Fresno. Utah State goes to Fresno State and beats them 65-62. That means the Lobos have solo third in the Mountain West Conference with that result. How about that?
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, but Utah State's beatable at home.
Yes.
So
they're also they can have that herd in full throat. They can be tough at home too with that student section. Second half score midway through. Air Force down 2 at home to Boise State, 44-42. UNLV 54-48 leaders second half over San Diego State in Vegas. Wyoming thumped. They did not. They had a big lead at halftime, but they had to hold on. 90-86, they beat San Jose State on the road, and then you had the Fresno State final losing at home 65-62, Utah State over Fresno State. All right, for Michael Carlisle, my on-site engineer, Derek Crawford, my producer in Jeff City, for Learfield. My partner's Hunter Green. Hunter, we'll see you in Logan on Wednesday.
On the road.
Yes.
Again.
Yeah, the Lobos get on the road. Hunter Green's my broadcast partner. I'm Robert Portnoy. New Mexico with the win, back to an even 500 overall at 11-11, and solo third in the conference, and the Mountain West at 6-3 in league play. Your final score for the final time with the Overtime Call-In Show coming up locally on 770 KKOB. That would be J.J. Buck taking your phone calls. Also simulcast at 94.5 FM. Lobos 80, CSU 65. Final. So long, everybody. You're listening to Lobo Basketball from Learfield.
On the Lobo Sports Network, Lobo Basketball has been brought to you by Nucenda. Pay with Lobo Pride. Get your UNM Lobos credit or debit card at Nucenda Credit Union. Santa Ana Star Casino, New Mexico's best bet. And by State Farm. Get an agent that gets you at 1-800-STATE-FARM. The preceding has been a Learfield presentation on the Lobo Sports Network. On the Lobo Sports Network. This is the CenturyLink Overtime Call-In Show, brought to you by Albuquerque Downs Racetrack and Casino, your home for winning entertainment. Graphic Connection, proud supporters of Lobo Athletics. Albuquerque Santa Fe Toyota dealers. Let's go places in a brand new Toyota. Visit your Albuquerque Santa Fe Toyota dealers for a test drive or